So Mark, tell me about your Speedway journey. How did you get here?
It's quite a long one. Obviously I was very passionate about riding motorcycles from a very young age, and I was very fortunate in our backyard, where I grew up in Mildura, that we had the Olympic Park Speedway, and the hero of the town was Phil Crump, and obviously that inspired us, a lot of junior speedway riders, to take up the sport, and I guess that's where we're today. That's where I'm here because of probably that.
There's such a brilliant sort of speedway legacy in Australia, isn't there? Like, it must be quite special to be able to bring that over here and kind of see the up-and-coming riders that are coming from where you were from over to places like Bellevue.
Yeah, it's really unique. I think you find a lot of country folk sort of tend to go into sport a lot, and we had just a real hotbed of producing great little speedway riders to come over to the UK and to challenge the world. It's a long journey to get from one side to the other, and a lot of commitment and dedication is required. And obviously there's many that don't make that journey, but the selected few that do obviously do quite well for themselves.
And how come you ended up at Bellevue out of all the clubs in the UK?
Location, I suppose. That's why destiny, maybe. I don't know. Obviously, I was a former rider, and I was retiring, and I was the national manager for Australia at the particular time, and it was just a conversation with the current CEO of the club, Chris Morton, to get involved and become on the potentially team manager, and then that was 10 years ago now. So yeah, it's been a pretty fun journey since.
Is it something you always thought you'd end up getting into when you were? I guess when you start with Speedway riding, you just want to ride Speedway forever, don't you? Did you ever think you'd end up a CEO of Bellevue?
No, it's funny how you join the dots backwards, and I can kind of see how I got here, but I had no ambitions of being a team manager, or probably actually being involved in Speedway. As much as I love racing motorbikes or riding motorbikes, I wanted to be an Aussie rules footballer. And that was where my journey was, and destination was, focused until the potential of the draft came in. I didn't get selected, and I ended up getting an offer to come to the UK, and that was some time ago now.
Yeah, and actually you've got your father-in-law that you can speak to about Speedway as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Teapot Tom Owen. He was a pretty talented rider, and obviously done very well for himself in the game. And there's plenty of banter we have, and conversations that we can bounce ideas off, to be quite honest, because the game hasn't changed that much, really.
I bet. And tell me about a typical week then for you as boss of Bellevue. What does that look like?
Pretty hectic, to be quite honest. It's pretty full on. Obviously, we're running a stadium as well as two professional teams. So it's just managing the staff. Obviously, making sure that we've got volunteers to come and help run our club, because motorsport relies heavily on volunteers, and they do an amazing job. So yeah, it's just putting all the bits together to so when the customer comes for their journey into the turnstiles for race night, that everything's ready to go. But obviously the performance side of the aces is obviously my forte. And I guess the last couple of years the performance side has been pretty good, and we just got to try and maintain that level. So
it looks like it's going all right.
Yeah, it's been pretty good the last couple of years. Yes, definitely, for sure. That
must be so special as well as a former rider to be able to come to Bellevue, of all the places, brand new stadium, and end up with some lovely silverware like that.
Yeah, I pinch myself. I got to admit, this is the most iconic club in the world, and like I said, you ask that question, how did I get it? I really don't know. To be quite honest, it's just you just do your job, you go about it, and sort of the roads sort of lead to here. And like I said, I feel quite privileged to be in this position and hold the baton for Bellevue Speedway. And hopefully, when I can pass it over to somebody else in some time, that it's in a better place than when I found it. And I think we've awoken the giant again. I think in the last couple of years, we were 29 years of a drought with no title, no great successes, and we've had 2 league championships in the last 2 years. So it's not only just about on-track performance that is key to the business. I think it's more about the process we put in place and the journey that we've come, with the riders, the volunteers, the spectators, the crowd, the sponsors. You put the effort in as much as any other club. You're not guaranteed success, but we've had some cherries just recently.
Well, you've not just got the success, you've obviously got you hosting 2 GPs this year. That's clearly testament to how far the club's come, surely.
Yeah, we have come a long way. I mean, this stadium was built 10 years ago now, and the ambition of the city council and all that were involved at the particular time was to have big events, and we can now safely say we have big events coming to Manchester, and in the form of the two Speedway, not one, but two Speedway Grand Prix here in Manchester. We did the 2024 Speedway of Nations, very successful event, and Team GB won that, and I think there wasn't a dry eye in the house at the end of the night after a long week of treacherous Manchester weather, but it just showcased what a great facility we have here, and the track creators did an amazing job to put on a great event for the world to see. But two GPs, we've come a long way, yeah.
I was going to say the track, if you just mentioned that then, the weather in Manchester is notorious, but we've obviously been to meetings and it does well. It does very well for a Speedway track, doesn't it? They've done a really good job of it. Yeah,
I joke it's like the Mediterranean of the north. So it's the weather-wise is not so great sometimes, but we do have a track that's catered and can take the weather, and the drainage is second to none. And I think our track record, we have very few rain-offs. So it's as long as the boys can have the courage to go out there and mix it in the conditions, and we're good to go.
All you need is Dan Bewley now to get a track record at the GP. That's the dream, right?
Well, I guess that would be Dan's dream. So I have a little different sort of ambitions, but I just want to get the GP on and put on a great events. And I mean, to have a home rider with Dan. Obviously, we've got Brady Kurtz as well. Either one of them. I'm not too bothered who wins it, but that would be great if one of them did. Maybe one can win one and one can win the other.
That would be great. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? How can you build on last year? Because it was such a good year for the Aces. How can you possibly do better?
Yeah, there's many improvements in Speedway. We've got to get the brand out there. We've got to get the attention and the profile. We've got to raise it. There's lots of things that we're a long way off the journey that we're on the journey, but we're a long way off the destination that we want to get to. As a sport of a whole, I think we're doing some pretty good things at Bellevue Speedway, but collectively, I don't think we're doing great things. So we've got to work together and keep building it. But I think that awareness, we're the best kept secret in motorsport, I feel. And we've got a great event that sport that we can showcase the world, and we've just got to make sure they can come and see it and be privileged to what we do, because I don't think there's been anyone that's come here and said, I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah, no, I believe it. Who's the biggest rival? Who are you looking out for this year?
Teams, there's some really good premiership teams this year. They've obviously, some probably gone checkbook racing, and we welcome that. But it's the same old. It's the usual suspects. You're looking at Sheffield, you're looking at Ipswich. Birmingham have put an amazing team together. You look at Kings Lynn. They're solid from 1 to 7. And Oxford, and you can't rule them out either. So it's they've got some pretty useful operators in that team. So it's looking pretty tough out there. So it's the same sort of cliche I'll use that we've just got to make the top 4, and then anything can happen come playoffs.
How excited are you about your team for this season? Yeah,
pretty. I mean, we've got a nucleus of the team that's pretty much, they're all familiar with the club. We've got 5 returnees. We've got young Jake down at Mulford at reserve in the rising star position, and he's starting to really mature. He won the World Under 23 Long Track Championship, so he's a race winner. He's a champion. So he's learning his ropes at the moment. And we've brought in Tate Ziske, obviously returned from a nasty injury, a huge crash here when we signed him mid-season. But so he's fit and well, but we'll be patient with him to sort of give him as much track time and build his confidence up to get back to a level. And then we replaced Ben Cook with Zach Cook. So awkward conversation, that one, with the two brothers. But Zach's pretty familiar, obviously travelling many times with Ben here last year. So it feels like a really good fit that we've got, with obviously the 5 other riders.
That's difficult, isn't it? Because Ben, obviously, brilliant rider, but you've just got the points cap, so it's an awkward situation for someone like yourself. Yeah,
it's a real horrible time come November. When you finish the league and you want to enjoy the success that you had, and then obviously when you've had strength in teams and to finish near the top, you generally got to decimate that to build into the point streak. A bit like a salary cap, so to speak. And we've had to do that year on year, and I think there's real credit to the team by the ones we have brought back into the team, that they've kicked on and been at the pointy end when it mattered. But yeah, it's always tough releasing a rider that really doesn't deserve to be given the boot. But he's gone to Kingsland. I think he'll do great things there. So yeah, it's just the way it goes sometimes, and that's the nature of the beast.
How involved do your guys get in the mechanics of the bikes and stuff? Are they quite hands-on, or they tend to have more of a team around them, or does it just vary rider to rider?
Some riders get too hands-on.
Right.
So yeah, I think that some of them like employ good mechanics, and you can see the difference. The ones that really stretch the envelope a little bit and put some good guys in their council, they're the ones that sort of pretty consistent, performers. But yeah, there's a combination. Me being an ex-mechanic and an ex-rider, I can help a little bit too in guidance, but they tend not to want to listen to me in that because it's like you're too old school. But yeah, there's just we work pretty good as a team. We kind of know the sort of the like I said, the processes that kind of that tick and work to sort of put you in that successful picture frame.
And the team around yourself as well, you mentioned before, obviously there's volunteers at the club, people who work at the club. How important is it to be able to lean on those people, like to have that support network so that you can concentrate on obviously just winning the league again?
Yeah, mega important. I mean, like my title here at the club is the CEO, and I see that as a delegation role, to put people in place that can do the jobs and support and the business. And we have some really good people around us, and I think that's sort of the credibility and the credit is in the results that we've had from the people that we have around us. So yeah, it's not a one-man show, I can assure you that.
I bet it is, and with everything you've said, I find it hard to believe you've actually stopped in the off-season.
Yeah, it hasn't happened too much in the off-season, to be quite honest. We signed one Grand Prix, and then by the time I went to put my heels up and relax a little bit, we had a second Grand Prix coming on the table, so it was back to the grindstone. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Did you manage to get any sunshine whatsoever?
Yeah, I did. I had 5 weeks back in Australia, but that was sort of like working in the warmth. So
yeah.
And obviously visiting home, seeing family. So I had a little bit of downtime after Christmas.
Well, best of luck for the rest of the season, obviously. Very exciting times for the club, but thank you very much for your time.
No, cheers. Thank you.